Good morning. This is Taisha from Kelly Educational Staffing. We have a last-minute assignment this morning, and the assignment starts at 7:45. And we see that you're not on assignment. So are you available to take this assignment for us?
This morning, we had a teacher, for whatever reason, didn't enter her absence in the system. And immediately I asked my secretary to get it on the system, to have it call out to get a sub. Within a matter of an hour or so, we had a staff member from Kelly here to cover the classroom. And that took place today.
As far as teacher shortages go, we have struggled with, as you know, it's a nationwide problem, with finding enough teachers to fill that immediate need, whether it's long-term or short-term when our teachers are out for an absence. So that instruction continues and there's no gap for our students. In a time in which it's hard to find teachers and it's hard to find applicants that are well-trained when they come in and understand the mission of our district and understand the expectations of our district, Kelly has been able to ensure that the subs are well-trained and acclimate them to the Polk County way, as opposed to some other vendors that may have come to the table.
We really differentiate ourselves on what the customer's true needs are. So if the school needs a substitute teacher in math for an upcoming FMLA absence, or they need more ESE paraprofessionals, we can be very targeted for that specific school. And I think that's what sets us apart. We're treating them as not just a big district as a whole, but each school is our own specialized customer. For our district to meet our customers' needs, we need to be around 1,700 substitutes. So to get to that, you're really recruiting about 200 subs a week to net 70 successful hires. Because we recruit every day, we already know what works and what doesn't work, and we actually measure that and track that. But allowing Kelly Educational Staffing to do that allows the district to focus on other core objectives of their own teams.
Normally in finance, your basic is show me the return on investment. If it's not, we're not going to bring it to the board. I'm not going to bring something that costs more to the board. And that is not my philosophy in terms of the big picture is, what are we here for? And that's students. And so you have to sometimes spend money in the classroom to get, what's best for students. Even after the decision was made and the change was made, even folks on my side would say, look, we spent $1.5 million more in subs. And I said, well, how much did we spend prior to? And they gave me a figure, and I said, well, add 15% to that, because you just went from 85% to close to 100% in fill rate. So that's why we spent more, and that was the benefit to the classroom.
Kelly was able to come in and address our sub needs in terms of filling, whether it was short-term or long-term. But in addition, they were able to provide a service of direct hiring for us, so that although the employees that they had on board with them were there in a sub capacity, I was able to interview and screen those applicants to fill a long-term teaching position. Kelly has already met with them and talked about specifically what our needs are, giving them some background in terms of the steps that they'll need to take in order to become a teacher. And if they complete the filtering for me, I know that the applicants that they bring to the table are either full credentialed already or have their bachelor's degree. And that was extremely helpful for me because I'm not having to weed through lots of applicants that are not even viable. We don't have the staff to support having multiple recruiters out there to do the level of screening that Kelly has done. And it's freed us up. That's just one additional thing that we know we don't have to worry about, because that's taken care of, which has made all the difference in the world.
The success of our program depends on the local resources. Recruiting has to be done at a local level. Our face-to-face interviews that our recruiters do, the type of recruiting events that they attend to try to recruit those individuals that are interested in substitute teaching. So the recruiters a lot of times are doing grassroots efforts, educating people that, hey, you could be a substitute teacher.
We treat the customer in the schools just like if it were our own child going to school there. And many of our staff members have children in the school system. And I think really that's what drives trying to find the right candidate to become a substitute. If my child's in the classroom, who would I want to be standing in front of there teaching my child? And that's just the mentality that we have, and I think that's why they're so passionate about it. They want to get it right the first time to make sure that it's right for the student.
I've had subs from Kelly that have actually helped me for the past 2 years start up school. When I didn't get a staff member fully vested to come on board, I could have Kelly step in and help me with some of their long-term people to help get a classroom started, and that has been wonderful. The kids bond with them. We just see great things happening, and the teachers that we've used from Kelly, we've been very fortunate that they've been willing to plan with our teams and come to our meetings, our PLCs, which are when we work with the individual grade levels, staff meetings, come before school, after school, sometimes even on their own accord, just to help us out, making sure that the kids are getting what they need.
The most rewarding aspect for me is the children. Seeing a child that has been struggling and they finally get the answer in a math problem, the look on their face. If they can read a word, then they've been struggling to read, they can now read a sentence. What better gift is there than to see a child grow? That's what I love.
There's no substitute for commitment, because especially being long-term sub, you have to be dedicated and commit to what you're doing, because they depend on you. And if you're not committed to what you're doing, then it's not going to work. And every day, they know I'm going to be here. They don't have to worry about it, because I'm committed to what I do.
Making a difference in a student's life could be done in many ways, because we have very many levels of learning with our children in an exceptional program. My point when I go to work in the morning is to make sure that I make everyone smile, if I can. And particularly with children of special needs and maybe they're nonverbal. If you can get them to smile, then you know that you've made the connection. So if I can make them smile because I'm Miss Goofy in the morning, that's fine. Then they settle down to some academics that I might want to work with them with, and then they're more receptive to me because they know I care.
20 years ago, there wasn't an educational staffing industry. We had a customer that approached us, had a need, and so we started supplying substitute teachers. And that's when I realized there was a need to make sure that we had quality substitute teachers working with students. To have a student go into a classroom that doesn't have someone teaching them, that's a lost learning day. So looking at it from a big picture, we really thought this is an area that Kelly needs to look into and that we need to explore and figure out if this is something that we can do on a national basis. Fast forward 20 years and we did it. We're impacting the educational experience of over 64 million students. Kelly Educational Staffing set the standard. We set the bar.
When I was encouraged to look into Kelly from the district perspective and was able to share what I saw happening in other districts, I was encouraged because from the principal's point of view, I knew what it took to try to make sure that my classrooms were covered in that light. And then this was an opportunity where I had somebody on my side trying to help me make sure that my classrooms were covered. And when the school board approved it, I was sure that we could show that we were filling the classrooms with Kelly's help better than we were able to do it on our own. So years later, we're now stepping back from the picture and saying, yes, it did work. When I hear my colleagues now saying, even though we went through the growing pains and it was different than what they were used to, in the long run, when I hear them say, I had a sub in all of my classrooms, I was able to cover things. Principals that are unable to find teachers to fit the role, but Kelly's there to help them fill the role in the interim. I just kind of take it inside as personal gratification that we did the right thing, not only for our principals and our schools, but for our kids.